Good day, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Troy Goldie, Marriage Officer, and it gives me great pleasure to share this information with you. Now, if you are two South Africans getting married under the Civil Union Act in South Africa, in other words, same-sex marriage, getting married in South Africa, you have the choice, first of all, to be known as a marriage or entering into a marriage or a civil partnership. Now, the difference between the two is actually not much. It's just under the name. The name changes. You would be known as spouses as opposed to partners, or you would be known as partners as opposed to spouses. But most people that I find that get married under the Marriage or the Civil Union Act, they want to be known as a marriage rather than a civil partnership. So what you would need as a South African marrying a South African is, again, very simple. It's two South Africans, so their ID card or ID book certified, please. Make sure that you have a certified copy of those documents, because you would need that to be able to show to Home Affairs, or I would need to give it to Home Affairs. Do not please supply a copy of your passport. A South African passport is not a valid identification document as far as Home Affairs is concerned. They have to have the certified copy of your SA ID book or ID card. So that's important, so keep that in mind. Then I would also require, if you have been married before, a decree of divorce or the death certificate of your late husband or your late wife. That is also very important. Please, those documents all need to be certified. They need to make sure that they are clear copies. The decree of divorce is incredibly important because that must show the stamp of the court and must show the date of the court, so that if the divorce has not been captured onto the system, your status has not changed, then Home Affairs would have to do that prior to the registration of your new marriage. So it's always important to check that status. So I'm going to give you a number, 32551. Let's say it again, 32551. It's on the screen. All you do is you put a capital M in the body of the text, capital M space and your ID number. You send that SMS off to Home Affairs. It takes sometimes a couple of minutes, sometimes it takes quite a while, sometimes it never comes back, but try it a few times if it doesn't happen the first time. But send that SMS and your status as a married person in the country will come back. If you've never been married before, it'll come back as single. If you've been married before and your registration of your divorce has not been put onto the system, it'll come back as married, and obviously the date that you got married the first time. If that happens, please be aware of the fact that you will need to supply a decree of divorce. In fact, it's actually worthwhile going to Home Affairs prior to the date of the wedding to actually ask them to change the status from married to divorce, because it'll speed up the process of registering your marriage after you get married to the person that you're going to get married to. So it is important to do that. If, however, you get the status coming back and it says that you are divorced, then that's great. Then you don't have to worry about it. You give me a decree of divorce and that just goes to Home Affairs. Okay, so keep that in mind. Those documents are very important. So it would be the copies of the IDs, and it would be the decree of divorce or the death certificate if in the event of a widow or a widower in this case. Okay, now you would have two witnesses that are going to sign the register. If they are South African citizens, again, I would need a copy of their SA ID and not their passport. Please, no passports for a witness if they are South African. If they are not South African, however, they will be able to give a copy of their passport, that is the page with the photograph on, and obviously the entry stamp into the country. That's important. Keep that in mind. Then I would also need two ID size photographs of both the grooms or both the brides in this case. That is attached to the register, and you would then do your thumbprint, and that is a way of verifying that you actually exist. So it's a photograph and your thumbprint that will be done on the day of the wedding. We do not need photographs of the witnesses, just of the two brides or the two grooms in this case. In South Africa, under the Civil Union Act, you have two choices. You can get married in community of property, which is the default, or you can get married out of community property. So you and your partner would decide whether you would like to be in or out. If you decide to go in, you don't have to do anything. You simply just pitch up for the wedding. If you decide, however, to go out of community property, then you would have to make sure that you go to a lawyer, draw up the contract, make sure that they sign the contract before the date of the wedding. That particular lawyer will give you a letter confirming that the contract exists. That is a ANC letter or anti-nuptial contract letter, and that letter is given to me, and I give that letter to Home Affairs. So in summary, you would need, as a civil union partnership or marriage in South Africa, the two brides or the two grooms would supply a copy of their, or certified copy of the SAID book, as well as a copy of the decree of divorce if that's the case, or a death certificate if that's the case. And then obviously the letter from the lawyer stating that a contract has been entered into, and two ID size photographs. And that's quite simple and easy. So if you've got those documents, you're more than welcome to contact me. My name's Troy Goldie. You can get hold of me on my contact details, and I'll be more than happy to help you and take you through this process. Until next time, cheers.